That was oh gosh.
From standing ovations to heartbreaking headlines, some of the most unforgettable stars from America's Got Talent faced tragedies no one saw coming. These performers once lit up the stage with hope, talent, and powerful stories. But behind the applause were hidden struggles, sudden losses, and shocking endings. From young viral sensations to fan-favorite finalists, their journeys took unexpected turns. What happened after the spotlight faded is deeply emotional, and some stories remain untold. Stay until the end, because the truth is unforgettable. When America's Got Talent first aired in June 2006, it quickly became more than just a television show. It became a gateway to dreams. People from small towns, broken homes, and difficult lives stepped onto that stage with one goal: to be seen. Some had never left their hometowns, while others had spent years performing without recognition. That stage gave them something they had never truly had before: a voice. By the time Season 3 arrived in 2008, the show had already captured millions of viewers across the country. The stakes were higher, and the stories felt more real. That was when Neil E. Boyd walked onto the stage. He came from Sikeston, Missouri, living a quiet life working in insurance. Nothing about his appearance suggested fame, but the moment he began singing opera, everything changed. His voice filled the theater with power and emotion, leaving both judges and audience stunned. Week after week, Neil continued to deliver unforgettable performances. Each time, he proved that true talent does not need a perfect background. In August 2008, he was crowned the winner of Season 3, marking a life-changing moment not only for him but for viewers who saw their own struggles reflected in his journey. Around the same time, performers like Prince Poppycock brought bold and theatrical energy to the stage, showing that standing out could be just as powerful as fitting in. Together, these contestants defined what the show truly represented: not perfection but transformation. However, behind the bright lights and standing ovations, a different reality was quietly forming. Fame came fast, and with it came expectations. Overnight, ordinary people became public figures. They were expected to perform, travel, and maintain success without guidance or time to adjust. For some, this sudden rise worked in their favor. But for others, the pressure became overwhelming. Once the show ended, the spotlight slowly faded. Opportunities were not always guaranteed, and the support system was not always strong. Many contestants found themselves returning to normal life, but nothing felt the same anymore. The silence after the applause was often louder than the cheers themselves. Fans continued to remember the performances, the emotional stories, and the victories. But they rarely saw what happened after the cameras stopped rolling. They did not see the struggles, the doubts, or the quiet battles that followed. And for a few contestants, the journey after the show would take a much darker turn than anyone expected. But the first shocking loss would leave fans questioning what really happens after the applause ends. For many winners and fan favorites of America's Got Talent, life after the show was expected to be filled with success, tours, and long careers. But for some, the reality turned out very different. Behind the memories of powerful performances were silent struggles that few people truly understood. One of the most heartbreaking stories is that of Neil E. Boyd. After his victory in 2008, Neil's life changed almost overnight. He released an album, performed across the United States, and became known as one of the most unique winners in the show's history. His journey inspired millions, especially those who believed that background and appearance should never define success. However, as time passed, his public appearances became less frequent. Behind the scenes, Neil was facing serious health problems. He struggled with heart issues, kidney disease, and other complications that made everyday life difficult. Despite his talent and determination, his health continued to decline. On June 10, 2018, in his hometown of Sikeston, Missouri, Neil E. Boyd passed away at the age of 42. The news shocked fans around the world. The man who once stood confidently on stage, delivering powerful opera performances, was suddenly gone. Another tragic loss came with Scott Alexander, a magician who appeared on Season 6 in 2011. Scott was known for his creative illusions and calm stage presence. After the show, he continued performing, bringing joy to audiences through live shows and cruise performances. But in February 2020, while performing on a cruise ship in the Caribbean, something unexpected happened. During a routine performance, Scott suddenly collapsed on stage. At first, many thought it was part of the act, but it quickly became clear that something was wrong. He had suffered a stroke. Despite immediate efforts to help him, Scott Alexander passed away shortly after. He was only 52 years old. His sudden death left fans and fellow performers in disbelief. These stories revealed a painful truth. The stage may bring fame, but it does not protect from real-life struggles. Health issues, stress, and the pressure to maintain success often remain hidden behind smiles and performances. Fans began to ask questions. What happens to contestants after the show ends? Are they truly supported once the spotlight fades? While audiences remembered their performances, the reality of their lives told a deeper story, one filled with challenges that could not always be seen. Because the next tragedy involved someone the world believed was just getting started. In 2021, during season 16 of America's Got Talent, a quiet woman walked onto the stage with a story that immediately caught attention. Her name was Nightbirde. She did not arrive with a big introduction or dramatic entrance. Instead, she spoke calmly about her life, revealing that she had been battling cancer. At that time, doctors had given her only a small chance of survival. Despite this, she chose to stand on that stage. When she began to sing her original song, "It's Okay," the room fell completely silent. Her voice was soft, but filled with emotion. Every word carried meaning. It was not just a performance, it was a message about pain, hope, and acceptance. As the song ended, there was a moment of stillness before the entire audience rose to their feet. The judges were visibly emotional. Then Simon Cowell did something rare. He pressed the golden buzzer. In that moment, Nightbirde became one of the most talked about contestants in the show's history. Her audition quickly went viral, reaching millions of viewers across the world. People connected with her not just because of her voice, but because of her strength. However, behind that powerful moment was a difficult reality. As the competition continued, her health began to worsen. In August 2021, she made the decision to withdraw from the show. She explained that her fight against cancer required all of her energy. Fans supported her, hoping she would recover and return one day. But that moment never came. On February 19, 2022, Nightbirde passed away at the age of 31. The news spread quickly, bringing sadness to millions who had followed her journey. Her audition was replayed across social media, with many remembering her words and her courage. Her story was different from others. She did not win the competition. She did not complete the journey. But her impact was undeniable. She showed the world that strength is not always loud. Sometimes it is quiet and steady. Her passing left behind more than grief. It left questions about how many other stories remain unfinished. How many dreams are cut short before they can fully unfold. Because Nightbirde was not the only one whose journey ended too soon. Because behind the spotlight, even more hidden struggles were waiting to be revealed. For millions of viewers, America's Got Talent represents hope, success, and life-changing opportunity. But for many contestants, what happens after the show is far more complicated than what appears on screen. The journey does not end with applause. In many cases, that is where the real struggle begins. One example is Michael Ketterer, a finalist from season 13 in 2018. During the show, he became known for his emotional performances and powerful personal story as a pediatric mental health nurse and father. His audition deeply moved the judges, especially Simon Cowell, who supported him throughout the competition. To the audience, Michael represented kindness, strength, and hope. However, after the show ended, his life took an unexpected turn. Reports later revealed that he faced legal issues related to a domestic incident shortly after the finale. While the situation did not involve a tragic death, it exposed a different kind of struggle, one that showed how difficult it can be to handle sudden fame and pressure. This pattern is not unique. Many contestants go from living normal, private lives to being recognized by millions almost overnight. They are expected to manage interviews, performances, contracts, and public attention, often without proper preparation. The pressure to succeed and remain relevant can become overwhelming. For some, opportunities fade quickly, leaving them uncertain about their future. Behind the scenes, some former contestants have spoken about mental health challenges, financial stress, and the emotional toll of losing the spotlight. The support that exists during the show often disappears once the season ends. What remains is the expectation to continue succeeding alone. While audiences remember the performances and emotional stories, they rarely see the full picture. They do not see the quiet moments of doubt, the struggles to stay afloat, or the pressure to live up to a public image. These hidden challenges reveal something deeper about fame. It can lift someone to incredible heights, but it can also leave them unprepared for what comes next. And in some cases, these struggles become part of a much darker story. And just when it seemed the worst had been revealed, one final story would leave fans completely heartbroken. Even after their passing, the voices and stories of these performers continue to live on. Moments from America's Got Talent are replayed every day across the internet. Editions that once brought people to tears still reach new audiences, reminding the world of the impact these individuals had in such a short time. The performance of Nightbirde remains one of the most viewed and shared moments in the show's history. Her song, her voice, and her message continue to inspire millions. People who discover her story for the first time often react the same way: silence, followed by emotion. Her words about being more than the hardships she faced have stayed with audiences long after her passing. In the same way, Neil E. Boyd is remembered not just as a winner, but as someone who broke expectations. His journey from a small-town life to a national stage showed that talent can come from anywhere. His performances still stand as a reminder of what the show was built to represent: raw, unexpected greatness. For many fans, returning to these clips is not just about entertainment. It is about connection. It is about remembering where they were when they first saw these performances and how those moments made them feel. The applause, the standing ovations, and the emotional reactions from judges all become part of a shared memory. But beyond the performances, their legacies carry a deeper meaning. These stories have opened conversations about health, mental well-being, and the reality of life after sudden fame. They remind viewers that behind every act is a real person with real struggles. Their journeys may have ended, but their impact continues. Through every replay, every tribute, and every shared memory, their presence remains. But the final truth about these tragedies reveals something even deeper about fame itself. The stories connected to America's Got Talent reveal something that many viewers never fully see. The stage creates powerful moments. It turns ordinary people into stars. It gives hope to millions watching from home. But beyond that stage, there is another reality, one that is far less visible. For contestants, the journey does not end when the show finishes. In many ways, that is when the real challenge begins. The structure, support, and attention that existed during the competition slowly disappear. What remains is the responsibility to carry that success forward alone. For some, this transition works. They build careers, grow their audience, and continue performing. But for others, the shift is difficult. The sudden drop from national attention to everyday life can feel overwhelming. Opportunities are not always consistent. Expectations remain high, even when the spotlight fades. The stories of Neil E. Boyd and Nightbirde highlight how fragile that journey can be. One faced serious health struggles after achieving success. The other inspired millions while quietly fighting a battle she could not win. Both became symbols of strength, but also reminders of how unpredictable life can be. These are not just stories of talent. They are stories of human experience, of hope, pressure, struggle, and loss. Fame can open doors, but it can also create challenges that few are prepared for. Behind every viral moment is a person trying to navigate a life that has suddenly changed. For viewers, the show remains a source of inspiration. But these stories add a deeper layer of understanding. They show that success is not always the ending people expect. Sometimes, It is only the beginning of a much more complex journey. And perhaps the most powerful truth is this: what happens after the spotlight fades is often the part that matters most. Because once the music stops, the stage goes dark, and the audience moves on, the real story continues, even if no one is watching. Which story impacted you the most? Tell us in the comments below. And if you want more real, emotional stories like this, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss what comes next.